All right, we are on a road here. Hang on, I'm gonna have to turn this down a little bit. I'm gonna have to put this in the, oh, what do you call it? I'm gonna have to put this in the chat, the link that I'm listening to. So I have been sleeping most of the morning. I am so tired, burned out, you name it. I'm gonna put this in the chat, what I've been listening to. Queued it up a little on the late side. Hey, hi, how are you? So yeah, I am listening to this. It's the only thing that's rattling my cage to get me moving. It's a courtesy call by a 1,000 Foot Crutch. So yeah, it's a good thing, man. I don't know what anybody else is going through, but it's it's pretty intense with the oppression that I'm personally feeling. I don't know about anybody else, but it's been a challenge to kind of stay focused. Don't know why. Usually pretty good at doing that. I didn't really get any kind of like what you'd call downloads, I guess. I had something come through the other day. It's usually things that all of a sudden out of the blue, there's like this forceful passion. And last night, Stone and I talked about some of the somatic things that many of us are experiencing. Me personally getting pushed from behind. She said she felt she was definitely pushed a while back. She got injured, unfortunately. So I am taking my cues to learn how to turn the switch off, or maybe have some kind of a rheostat installed in my so I can dial things back a little bit, because I ended up yeah, I basically injured myself, and also in other circumstances earlier in the week, yeah, ended up putting myself, nobody's fault other than my own, that pretty driven human, and I want to help people, and I just kind of full steam ahead, damn the torpedo sort of a thing. And then I put myself in some pretty precarious positions. Not going to happen anymore. Yeah. So with things I think we're being pushed maybe right now is because we've got some things that are going to get dialed up. So we need to dial up our sensitivity, and I need to dial down my, my go button, as it were. Yeah, I just kind of got to do that. And it would be good to see some of the things. And I'm not about doom and gloom. I think you can do all the prepping on the face of the earth. Hi, Arizona. Yeah, I think there's like this, you can prep all you want. But I think the more you feed into something, the more likely you are going to be fostering that into your reality. So be prepared. Yes, we had back in 2020, with all the shenanigans that were going on, we had 3 dams break north of where I'm at. And there's a river that runs through that's 1.5 miles from me. And I think it floods, the banks flood at 28 feet, and it was well into the 30s when it flooded, washed everything out, really shut everything down. So yeah, I really like that one. Stone and I listen to Skillet usually beforehand, and it's Invincible. And I know those are both Christian bands, and neither one of us would call ourselves any kind of Ishtian or part of any ism, as it were. But we like the words in it, and if you put it into context of where we have our own personal beliefs, it's Johnny on the spot. But anyway, putting ourselves into those positions where we got everything flooded out. I was literally stuck at home. Even if we were able to go out, it was 2 weeks. All those bridges got washed out. And even after the 2 weeks, when we went to go out to buy things, because I used to live in a fairly rural area, and I wouldn't get out to like a big store for a month at a time. So you really had to plan ahead. So with me being where I'm at now, totally different situation. I was still had that mindset of having these things prepared and ready to go. So we weren't in for want of anything. The thing is that when we prep to a degree and we have it there, and I don't even really consider the stuff that I have here as a comfort, but it's just a solid knowledge that I'm always going to be protected and I'm always going to be okay. Having said that, what I did last week or earlier this week, no bueno. That was just not a good thing for me to put myself through. Well, it wasn't pleasant anyway. I'm not going to put a moral judgment on it. It was a good thing, and then I learned from it, I guess, the hard way. But yeah, everything's restored and in restoration process. I can make it up and down the stairs now without too much difficulty, which is kind of a bonus because that's where the laundry is. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and switch it over to the cards fairly quick. If you got, yeah, I'm prepped but not focused on it. That's perfect. Because we don't want to give that thing power. We want to feel comfortable with where we're at, and we're just gonna carry on with life. It's kind of like having the generator and the extra 5 gallons of gas in the garage. You got to just kind of rotate that stuff, but yeah, there's gooby stuff on the dog has been sitting on my lap all morning, and it's like, so the little wiener dog I'm watching for this week. So let's switch it over to the other camera. I'm gonna stretch the microphone over a little bit and see if I can't get it to make sure that, because it's that way. See what happens. Do a little flip. Let's do a little flip. Hang on. Camera's gonna twitch. Sorry about that. Yeah, I have it up against the wall again. Looks like it's pretty loud, so I am gonna pull it down because I do have to go over. Right. All right, rolling of the chair. Okay, so maybe we can kind of look at some of the things that we're possibly going to, because I think the energies that we're all going to be influenced by or potentially influenced by are going to be different for each one of us based on where we're at. However, there is like this collective support. There's a lot of really heavy energy, and I think I've probably mentioned it before. I'm not a weepy person, but there's been a lot of grief that I've been feeling, and I feel like some of it's mine, not really grief, but there's like this separateness that it feels like. And I'm not lonely, but I'm feeling the loneliness. I'm feeling the separation, I guess. So what can we do to kind of help us facilitate that? Facilitate not the loneliness, of course, but the connectedness. What can we do? Not just within ourselves, because sometimes it's within us that we're feeding those negative emotions, and that's what we need to get a grip on. If anybody at any time ever feels down and depressed, and your friend or your neighbor or your mother or your brother or whoever it is that you typically rely on is not available, there's probably a reason for that. Either they're going through their own thing, or you're being asked to kind of lift it up yourself or find a different resource. And it's always good to have more than one resource. And I saw that Four of Swords, right? So looking within ourselves, taking that rest and relaxation, that's going to be a big part of it, right? Let me say we kind of got to look within ourselves to, I shifted the board around, so hopefully this is all going to fit. Yeah, self-love and relying on the one. And because that's what we do have available to us. Each and every one of us has that available, right? Oh yeah, all right. I don't think you can get any more abundant than that other than the 10. But with the 9, that means you're ready for more. We're ready for just one more. One more. And that one more is probably gonna be satiating. That's like it's like not an over well, yeah, it could be an overabundance. So we can gather up that overage and kind of share that out, push that out. All right, so this is also to me like a rest recovery sort of a thing, but it's achieving enlightenment when we are kind of tapping into all this stuff. Hey, what do we have that's going to help us? Is that I'm not used to having a lot of the physical sensations about other people's energies, and I feel like that's what has been kind of happening. Because I'll just be sitting, chilling, reading, and I'll get a literally a wave from my feet all the way. Typically, it stops at my throat though. And I've talked to a couple of people about it, and I don't know if anybody's noticed the change in my voice, but it's very, very raspy. And I have to keep my mouth shut with a lot of the things that people tell me. I can't share them. All right, so of course I'm not getting anything that's like traditional from this particular Two of Wands. Show it to you in a second here if anybody notices anything different than that. But this guy here has got the weight of the world on his shoulder. Usually it's the guy with the orb and is out, he's got kind of looking at the off into the distance. I've heard some people say that he's raced to the finish line and now what kind of attitude, but this is more like the world is at his shoulder. It's like everything is accessible to us, and he's got his hand on the wall on the wall. It's like on the pillar, and the wands are to either side of him. So it's almost like we have all this information, all the information, whatever tools need to be still gathered. So we've learned a lot, we've done a lot, but we need to employ these things that we're kind of sitting back on. And maybe that kind of goes along with the hanged man, right? But if we've achieved the enlightenment, we have everything that we need, what do we do next? And that's going to be different for each one of us to, there's like a protection. It's like we're looking for protection, but it's like we are protected. So it's like you're looking for things that we're looking for things that we already have. That's kind of weird. All right, Seven of Wands. And this is a call to action. Oh my, this is awesome. This for me, the seven is a call to action, and it's going to feel a little daunting maybe. And with the Five of Wands, I've heard a couple people say that it's like a preparation for, it's not really battle. They're using sticks, not swords, or wands, not swords. But for me, these guys look like they're building something. They look like they're building something. So it's maybe they're building some sort of a protective grid. And possibly that's what we're being asked to do. Because I think we have everything we need. If we've achieved that enlightenment and we have everything that we need, oh, I think this is an affirmation for that. So the only other thing that's left are the thoughts and words for a new beginning. So it's really up to us to take that next step, right? Because it kind of started here where we got the rest and relaxation and we were gathered all this positive energy. Very emotional. Don't let other people's emotions affect your ability to drive your own bus. I'm guilty of that. So, and anything that's fear-based, again, panic, anxiety, we need to keep all that stuff in check. And Gosh, how do we do that? How do we do that? Because this feels like we've had our rest and relaxation. We have all the tools that we need. We need to start stepping up the game and know that we have everything that we need. Oh man. So this is the Four of Swords. This isn't like a rinse, recycle, repeat. This is like when we're going through this, we're going to find that it's not going to be stressful. It's going to be restful. It's going to be calming. When we carry out these deeds, it's going to be calming. That's kind of interesting. She looks pretty chill. Yeah. Two of Water is the reminder to stay in touch with our emotions and those around us that facilitate the positive things in our life. And I think that there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be in the media and just in our own personal life. And if you're working in your work life, in your social life, and this is what we have access to. In order to access the star, there has to be a degree of vulnerability. I mean, this representation of the star is kind of cool because she's got it all together, but let's face it, she's not exactly dressed in armor. She's quite vulnerably dressed. Stay grounded. Wow. Yeah, stay grounded. That's Johnny on the spot. All of a sudden here, it's gotten extremely warm. It's been nice and chilly at night, but right here, right now, I don't know why. Sorry, I can't see the chat, you guys. It's like really, really far away. So I apologize for that. I'll have to come back over. I've got a couple of decks, I think, over there that I can shift. I still need a different TV. I was going to look into doing that today. I could probably put it up on a wall or something. I don't know. Okay, so circle. So I don't know if I've seen this card before, but I think it's interesting because I don't know if there's like a circle of friends. I'm going to pull the book out and see what I can find out from that. But this is like because the buildings are all upside down, right? And the people are all right side up. All right. It says gather with your circle to make some serious magic happens. So this isn't just based in what we would call reality, right? Because who has the buildings upside down when we're all sitting on the ground? Be inspired and refreshed by the amazing people you're surrounded by. So stay grounded with that circle. If you don't have a circle, you do. It's just ones that aren't manifested in front of you. Explore together, and we learn things that we didn't know we didn't know. We knew, but we didn't even know we knew. You know? That's kind of cool. And these people are all sitting in the circle and they're holding hands, so it's important for us to, can you tell I'm in writing? But you can kind of tell that there's a definite connection, a physical connection between them. They got their hands on each other. And there are ones that we are going to be able to facilitate some of these hopes, dreams, and desires, and respite and restful times in secret places. In secret places, we're going to discover these secret gardens. I think most people are finding what they're calling their tribe. I don't know if I'm going to align with that particular terminology, but oh gosh, you can't ask for anything more than community, right? So there's going to be circle of friends, circle of maybe just even what you could consider a cohort that you align with, and it doesn't have to be aligned with everything. Maybe in secret places, but it's also a different kind of community. It doesn't feel like a traditional community. I know I'm connecting to a lot of people that are definitely outside my, what I guess you could call norm. All right, so what else we have here for us to kind of move through? This is gonna, this, you know, with this eclipse, because we're not gonna see it here in the north, but I think we're all feeling it. This is not negative. It's only going to be negative if you see it as negative. Everything is useful. Everything is useful. Nothing is wasted. So if you have something like me, I had a lot of negative things going on. I kind of turned that into a positive thing, and have been inspired to set up different protective modalities for myself. And we're going to have to deal with the goblins, because the goblins are not bad guys. The goblins are catalysts for positive change. They are also strength building. And I think they also help us tap into our own personal wishing well. You know, that personal wishing well obviously is going to be different for everybody. I think these guys are awesome. I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of us kind of gravitate towards, everybody likes to watch the movies, and, you kind of root for the bad guy sometimes, because that's just part of human nature, I guess. I don't know. Some people definitely are drawn to the bad girl or the bad boy. That naughty side. All in varying degrees and acceptability within your particular paradigm, I guess. And allowance, the frequency of allowance invites us to be open with whatever comes our way, without judgment, without opinion, without fear, without resistance. When we allow, the universe becomes our partner in the wondrous dance of existence and expansion. So that's exactly what we were talking here about, the strength and the wishing well, and kind of incorporating that goblin aspect that we encounter, or even that goblin side of ourselves. I don't know about you, but I certainly have one or two or many. Throat chakra. And I did mention my throat, so I think that this is going to possibly be something about speaking up. The frequency of the throat chakra, the blue flower of life, supports our self-expression and our sense of peace and balance. So here's the thing that just occurred. When we keep things to ourselves and we look at it as a difficult thing to do, like I just did, that's what's causing that raspiness. And oh my goodness, look at how I don't have that. I don't have that rasp. I don't feel that pull at my vocal cords. It's still a little bit there because it's like kind of leaving right here as I speak. But it's like, looking at it as something that's challenging or difficult, but it's part of what some of us do. Is it's important for us to protect ourselves and to protect other people, is that we cannot speak all things to all people. We have to keep things to ourselves. It keeps us safe. It keeps them safe. Communication. The frequency of communication supports our ability to exchange information in many different forms. It reminds us to run every piece of information, incoming and outgoing, through our heart, the center of our truth, to stay in the flow of source and balanced exchange. I add one word to that, and that would be heart, mind. When you align those two, look up Heart Math Institute, and man, that'll blow your mind. So that kind of is that. I'm gonna switch back over to the board. I mean, to the other camera. I'm gonna move this is like right over in front of me. Hopefully that wasn't too noisy. I had to grab the microphone. There we go. Yeah, it's like, why did it do that? Oh, okay, I see. All right. I'm just looking at the delay. All right. So like for today, I didn't get a whole lot, but I think we don't really need a whole lot anymore. It feels like there's already enough information for all of us to kind of like be setting ourselves up in a good way and getting ready. Hi Jay. Just getting ready for everything that's going to be coming because I think things are going to get really intense over the next several years. However, knowing that we already have all of what we need at our fingertips, the biggest thing is to just like with my throat clearing up all of a sudden, it's acknowledging the fact that we have within us what we already need, and it's letting go of those intangible things. I've already let go of tangible stuff years ago. So that's kind of an important thing too. It's just stuff. Everything that your eye can see right now has been purchased in the last 7 years, 6 years, 7 or 6 years. Yeah. So, keeping it loose, keeping things open-handed. The only thing that is going to be hard to do is, and I don't believe this, I don't know what anybody else, um, well, I believe it. We might, but I don't think it's here in where I'm at personally, as far as a war. I think that there's always going to be some sort of conflict going on. Uh, some people are claiming. So again, I'm going to go back to the goblins card that I had pulled earlier, and we can get that thing out of my face. We can we can tout it as being a something that's negative. Oop, breakfast in my teeth. They have they have a purpose, and if we stopped kind of identifying the polarization as something that's bad, it's something that's just part of where we're at and what we're going on through is that conflict. And it feels like it's within ourselves first. It's within ourselves first. So it's like if you want to have someone good in your life, you got to love yourself first. You got to be settled, grounded, and and good with where you're at in your own head. If you're not only going to see their demons, you're going to start pulling out and looking in a mirror and not realizing and thinking it's theirs. And it's probably a reflection partly of your own demons. What do they call them? Goblins. So I guess that's kind of where that is more or less coming from. And I don't consider any of the beasts that are in our writings that people read are necessary. It depends on who you're going to read it from. They say that the ones who won the wars are the ones who wrote the history books. Okay. Now that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to paint themselves as a winner. They might even want to cover up what they've done to keep on doing what they're doing. So here's the victory. We are victorious. We have this Four of Wands, but we're only going to be able to glom onto that. We're not going to be able to hang on to that. She's hanging on to that center one, but and I think she's probably covered by the canopy of the flower on top. And it feels like there's going to be some commitment. There's going to be some sort of a commitment. So you see dragons way much going, yes, goblins for sure. See goblin get in people. and that's accepting. People are accepting it. They're allowing that. They're permitting that, and that might be part of their paradigm and all that sort of thing. Um, but we make our own paradise, and we make our own hell. And if we feel like somebody does something to us, like I had something pretty bad happen early this week, I put myself in a position that I shouldn't have been in. Plain and simple. But I learned from it, and I didn't stress over it. And so I'm like, crap, I got to do all this stuff. And I got everything basically organized finito yesterday. So it took me 4 days, and I wouldn't have been able to do that. I had a couple of days off from work. So if anybody wants any cards pulled for something that's a little more personal for them, now would be the time to do it. Now would be the time to do it. And I can hear the dog in there doing stuff, so God only knows what I'm going to find. Um, and again, the hangman come up. The hangman came up on the board as well. So it's, I don't know if you can hear that, but he's clearing his little nose. I guess we all have allergies. Um, but yeah, the hangman, I think it is something that we've all got this enlightenment thing going on. This is definitely, I think some old friends might be popping back up. I mean, this guy kind of looks like Jesus. Is like, okay, that's kind of different. Somebody we're going to be able to look up to, maybe a mentor. As we're going to have we're going to probably have an option of being able to say yes or no. So that might augment some of the things that we're going to be able to get accomplished over the next something like 3 months or something like that. That's a 6, but it says 3 in my head. So, all right. One more. Well, that's 2 6s. There's a 6 of swords. So moving on. Calmer shores. The whole party looks like it's calm. I don't know if you can get much more calm than that. Because in the other card, there was like tumultuous waters on one side and really calm on the other, but it's like through the reeds too. There's reeds in there that very cool. Like, oh man, it just came back to this whole thing of being alone. So being alone is not accurate. So those swords are representing our own thoughts and words. And that can either pull in the good or pull in things that are easier for us to manage. And it can also pull in those demons, goblins, challenges, and things we didn't necessarily see coming. So there's 2 6s for you. So when we use those thoughts and words to bring in a more grounded sense of assistance, this is kind of the coming to fruition. Maybe that going from the calmer shores is over to here. Maybe this is, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of one thing leads to another in a good way. Not, what was that? Was that the fix? I think that song was by the fix. Anyway. Well, that's all I got, y'all. I am going to be doing a live with Stone. We're going to do it through Restream, so you're going to have to hopefully bear with us. Excuse me. Hopefully we'll be going live at 8 p.m. my time Saturday, and for her it'll be Sunday at noon in New Zealand. And we're going to finish our little list of things that we wanted to talk about. Well, it's actually her massive list. So I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your day. Please do like, share, subscribe. Hit the notifications button because I don't know when I posted that one interview. I've got another interview coming up that I'll be recording tomorrow, and I'll put it up sometime this week with Constant Victoria Briggs. She is going to share some of her personal experiences in my Human Encounters series. So have a great rest of your week. And I guess when it's all said and done, I guess I'll see everybody on that ever-loving